Hi, so this 30-minute Yin video is really working on the spine and creating easefulness through the spine. We twist, we forward, we backward bend, and yeah, should be great. So the first pose we're going to do is half saddle. Tammy's going to do it on her front. You can do half saddle on your front or your back. So on your front, you're just bending the leg back and taking the ankle into the hand. You can make this more intense by bringing your bolster or blocks underneath the thigh, and then you can start to feel the stretch. You can slightly change the angle by bringing the knee out or bringing it straighter. And then on your back, you can have a bolster underneath you to support yourself, which just lessens the intensity on the lower back. You want to feel this in your right thigh, the front of the right thigh. And you can have your knee way out like that, or you can have it a little bit more in. And really, it's you're choosing the angle of that knee, and more out can lessen the tension on the quadriceps tendons right on the top of the knee. When you're on your back as well, you can bend this knee up, which is going to lessen the load on the lower back too. You can have that left knee out, bent out like that, or you can have it straight out in front of you. So this leg has just been used as a prop to make the pose more comfortable, because you're just trying to find the stretch on the front of the right thigh on the bent knee. And then Nicola's got slightly different variation here as well. On her back, she's using this leg as a prop to support her knee up. So she's chosen to lift the knee up as opposed to lift the back up, which you can do. And so no bolster for Nicola, lifting that knee up, and then the left knee is a little bit out. You can see here that her pelvis is on a slant, it's not straight. That doesn't matter at all. It's really about accessing a really nice stretch through the front of the right thigh. So half saddle is about finding a stretch through the quads, full quads, quadriceps, going from the top of the thigh bone and going over the kneecap and inserting into the tibia below the kneecap. Big, strong muscles, quadriceps, take up. There's 3 muscle groups in the legs: the inner thighs, the adductors, the quads, and the hamstrings. And the quadriceps, they're called the vastus muscles, big, huge, vast muscles, and they take up like half of the leg. So really nice to stretch these out. We use quads when we straighten the knee, and also when we walk down the stairs, walk downhill. They're the anti-gravity muscles that stop us falling down. Okay, and then we're just going to swap over to the other side, so going on the other leg. Remembering always that the pose can be slightly different from one side to the other side, so it just takes maybe a little bit of adjustment. So on your front, it's a nice, particularly taking out the ankle joint. So I'll explain that in the next person. Having a bolster underneath is going to make this more intense. Not having anything lessens the intensity. So here, finding a stretch through the front of the left. These poses are the same, they're just on the back or the front. You can have the ankle going under like this, or you can have it going out like this. Again, this is depending on preference. Some of us don't have a very good ability to point our foot, so you might need to pad up the underneath the ankle joint to alleviate pain. So if you have pain in your foot, you need to bring something underneath, like a rolled up blanket, underneath the ankle joint to alleviate the pressure on the foot. So the pressure on the foot, pain in the knee, pressure in the lower back is going to stop you from feeling the stretch in your front of your thigh. So you're always thinking about those three areas to ease, and then you can start to feel the stretch. And then here, finding the stretch through the front of the left thigh, this right leg assisting you in your pose to make you feel more comfortable. So in Yin, you're always looking for preferences over and above how it looks. And it's so individual. The practice is such an individual practice. The skill in Yin is to become as comfortable as you can in the pose so that you can just begin to have that ability to let go and totally relax in the pose. And in the relaxation and in the letting go, then the magic starts to happen. The unraveling of the physical body, and then the emotional, and then the causal, our thought body. And knowing that the energy, which is essentially what we're working in yoga, moves across all those three dimensions, through the thought, the causal body, through the emotional, the astral body, and then the physical body. And we become so attached to all those bodies. Most attached to our thought body, our belief system. Okay, so from here we're going to come out of the pose and we're going to move into a spinal twist. So 3 different variations of spinal twist. We're going to start with Tammy. She's going to wrap her legs over like you do an eagle and drop her knees over to the left. So they're wrapped up. Knees are high up by the armpit, so you get this nice length through the spine. And then the right arm, the left arm comes out behind her. So you can bring that up over your body or you can bring it directly behind. But again, the position of the arm is going to really help you. You want to feel how comfortable you are. So sometimes it can be really uncomfortable. Sometimes you get pins and needles in the left hand and you just want to move the arm so it becomes comfortable. So you get this like twisting. Spinal twists are all about finding the stretch through that mid-back, through the thoracic spine, where the ribs attach onto the spine. The next pose, which is the less intense pose, is you bring your knees up and you stack your knees one on top of the other. Then you can bring your left hand behind, on top, right hand on top of the knees. And then again, this idea that you're trying to get this stretch through that mid-back region, so thoracic spine, most intense. And then one other version is you can have your legs straight. So they become nice long levers. And then you get this twisting effect through here. So you can see here that Nicola has got her shoulder right down onto the mat, but it's still getting this nice stretch through here. You can intensify it by putting a weight down on the arm. Does that make it? Yeah. So weighting down the arms with a nice big bolster can really help to increase the intensity of the stretch. Moving the legs up a little bit can increase the intensity as well. I'm going to use this arm as a lever to help. And then that will increase the intensity as well. So just 3 different versions. This one that Tammy's doing is the most intense. And the one in the middle, the least intense. So the thoracic spine, which is really what we're working on now, is the twist and the rotation of the thoracic spine is the stiffest part of the body, really. And we're trying to go through the natural rotation and move through that natural rotation to ease the stiffness around it. And there's a lot of fascia in the thoracic spine. So this cling film-like wrap that works all around our body, through the muscles, underneath the skin, around the organs. Considered the holding organ of the body and that's what we're working on our Yin Yoga, and there's so much through this mid-back region. And spinal twist can be really powerful poses. You're twisting through that central nervous system, through the place that we feel and that we think from. Coming out of the pose, and we're just going to go straight to the other side. So they're going to do the same variations the other side, so you can have a look, wrapping the knees over and dropping the knees down. And again, just be really mindful that your ability to rotate one side and the other side is really different. The right shoulder might drop down, the knees might drop down, both might ride up, one might ride down, the shoulders might ride down. So it kind of depends. Again, you're looking for your preferences, but you're just looking to find that nice twist through that mid-back region. Arm variation, legs variation. So the spinal twists, they're really calming for our nervous system. The whole idea behind Yin Yoga is to get into the parasympathetic nervous system. So the system where we rest and digest, where the body comes out of survival mode or stress mode and starts to work into other areas. So when we're in stress, the digestive system will shut down. It's not needed to get us away from the present danger, which was always a predator or a charging animal. The endocrine or the hormonal system shuts down, the lymphatic system shuts down, the reproductive system shuts down. So all these peripheral systems shut down in order to get us away from the present danger. And when we come out of that system and come into the parasympathetic nervous system, then the body is nourished, all the digestive system starts to work better, the reproductive system, etc., etc. So it's really nice to access this. And Yin is a really good way of accessing and coming into that system. And spinal twist working through lots of different meridian lines too. So the inner line, which is the liver and gallbladder, which is also working through the gallbladder zigzags down the outer, all the seams of the body. And then we twist and hug into the front line. And then we're also having a nice stretch to the back line. So back line, kidney and urinary bladder, front line, spleen, stomach. And remembering these energy lines are all about getting the energy in balance. Chinese medicine is about getting our cells into balance. Rather than pushing for something which is bigger or better or greater or more, we want to come into that place where it's just balanced. Okay, so we're going to come out of that pose and we're going to go into doing a little bit of decompression through the whole of the rest of the spine. So we're going to take these blocks. So Nicola, you're going to head up this way. So the block is going to go, that lower line of the block is going to go underneath the bra strap, or that, if you have the block that way, that is the bra strap. So Nicola's going to have it the higher way. And she's just going to place her body down over the block, And then I'm going to bring another block underneath to support her head. Some of you won't need that. Like so, Kieran is going to take the block and drop the head back. And you won't need the... You got it? And then arms out, and same with Tammy. She's going to take the block. So we're going to be here for about 3 minutes. And this is not so much a stretch. You're not really necessarily going to feel a stretch. You might even feel a little bit of discomfort through that mid-back region, but this is really working on releasing the spine and getting movement and release through that mid-back section and the whole of the rest of the spine. So now we're compressing, the hard block is compressing up into the fascia at the back of the mid-back, and it's going to have this nice release around it. Arm bones externally rotating in the shoulder sockets, and then opening up through the heart. So this is really working on the heart meridian, heart and small intestine paired organs, which is all about creating connection. The heart is the connector, connects all the other organs. It's the harmonizer. And the heart is where we feel from. So even in the English language, we acknowledge that. Heartfelt, heartwarming, heartbroken. So coming into this place of feeling, away from the thinking mind, away from the ego, and having a sense of what is right for us. And you know, this heart space is a place where we want to start to act from. The idea that the heart is omniscient, it knows things, has a kind of inner wisdom to it. You know, we know when things are not right. We know when we don't trust a situation. We know when we feel connected to a person. So as well as the heart being this kind of omniscient place, it's also discerning. It knows, it can tell right or wrong. It can tell whether to trust somebody or not to trust somebody. And so this pose starts to open that up. Even bringing awareness to the heart center, we start to produce more oxytocin, which is a hormone which makes us feel more loved and more connected. As we lie down in these moments of stillness, then our body will also start to produce more oxytocin. And that brings us more compassion to our fellow humans. Okay, so we're coming out of this. We're going to come into a snail. It's called snail in Yin Yoga, or in other yoga, it's called Deaf Man's Pose. So Nicola is just going to roll her legs over, and it's really about getting this nice curve through the back. Another way of helping with this pose is by dropping a... do you want to bring your feet under or over? Yeah. Is that better? Yeah. So this is going to weight the legs down, and it just helps to make the pose more comfortable. But again, it's preference. Does that feel okay? Yeah. Good? Yeah. Okay. So you can see from Tammy's view here is, do you want me to put bolster? Yeah. That you can see this is really about getting this. This is the same as the forward fold. We're getting this nice curve through here. And you can move your butt forward or back, and that's going to start to make the stress up through here or all the way down. So you can start to, once you get or understand this pose, you can start to adjust it so it feels nice for you. And we're essentially working along the spine, getting that nice curve in the spine. And then the other way to do it is to fold forward. And really, again, you can see here we're getting this curve through here, which starts to open up the mid-back. So it's nice to start to do, and this sequence, we're going from spinal twists, one side to the other side, and then thoracic spine extension, and then a thoracic spine flexion. Now, as this body folds over itself, it comes into a flexion. So working along the back line of the body can be really nourishing as we start to work into the kidney energy. Kidneys they house the yin and the yang energies. So we want to replenish our energy all the time. Replenishment through nurturing, through rest, through being mindful. And it's really in these quiet times during our yin practice or during our mindfulness practice that we start to get moments of insight, moments of creativity. Okay, so we're going to just very slowly release out of the pose. You can roll yourself really, really slowly out. And you're going to lie back and we're going to come into a hamstring pose. So the first hamstring pose we're going to do is the ham dangle. Here, bringing the right foot in the strap, making sure the strap is tight so it's not running, and then bringing the weight of the head is going to bring the leg up. You can bring a bolster underneath your head if that feels more comfortable. So right leg up, getting a nice stretch through the hamstrings. Then forward fold, folding over your, Nicola's doing over her left leg, but we're just going to go from one side to the other side. And then she's got her right leg bent out behind her, which will just give a slightly different stress to the forward fold that Tammy's doing. So I'm just going to get up so you can see it. So Tammy has her right leg folded out, an external rotation, thank you. And these two different versions of forward folds will just give you a slightly different stress to the hamstrings. There's 4 hamstrings running down the back of the legs, and you can get into the outside hamstrings, which are the lateral hamstrings, or you can get into the medial hamstrings, the inner hamstrings. And you can play with the positioning of the non-stretched leg to try and get into those different hamstrings. So with the variations of the forward folds, on this one here, we really are isolating the hamstrings because the spine is straight along the floor. Whereas here, you can see the spine is slightly curved. There, on Nicola, you can see the spine is slightly curved. So you're working more here into the spine as well as the hamstrings. And really, this is an isolation of the hamstring muscles. So again, the forward folds, you can choose where you want to create the most stress or stretch or tension in your body. And then really simply, we're just going to go over to the other side. So they're all going to do the same variations on the other side. Remembering on this one, you might have to adjust the strap a little bit. And then just to say with Nicola, this leg can come, this knee can point in, or it can come all the way out. So it kind of depends, again, on your preference. And you can use a bolster as well to support yourself in the forward fold, or you can just have your body folded. And you can see that here that Tammy's got her knee pretty wide out. You can have that knee here, or you can have your left foot underneath your right thigh as well. That will change the pose a little bit. So you're just, again, working towards your preferences. So always remembering in our Yin Yoga, it doesn't matter how far you can come down. I mean, Tammy's got really good flexion and flexibility through her hamstrings, but it really doesn't matter. It's always you're working to your own body and to your own restrictions, and bring yourself up and supporting yourself as equally, if not more valid. You want to listen all the time to your body. And sometimes you'll be more flexible. Some mornings, often mornings are a lot more stiff. Evenings were a lot more flexible. In summer, we tend to be more flexible in the heat, and in winter, coming inwards and downwards, we tend to be less flexible, more dense. So it's just always listening. And then coming out of the pose and you coming into your final relaxation, final Shavasana. So Shavasana is one of those poses that's really most important pose. We want to be as comfortable as we can. Sometimes having a bolster underneath your knees is a really nice, release in the lower back. Having a eye bag can be very relaxing as well. What eye bag? Bag? You want eye bag? And then Shavasana, just allowing your muscles to totally relax. slowly starting to bring awareness back into your body. So making little tiny movements of your feet, your fingers, maybe stretching your arms over your head, or maybe you just want to bring your knees into your chest. And then slowly making your way up. So you can come onto your side to make your way up, so you can come into fetal. Or you can just roll yourself up. And then just bringing hands together and prayer at your heart center. Just for a moment, honoring the practice. And raise your thumb knuckles to the center of your forehead to honor the practice of the mind. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you.